Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Liz Reddy. Today's top stories. Health ministers appealing to the public to bear with GPs as the online system for referring patients to get tested for coronavirus has crashed. A Waterford councillor has called for the local authority to look into the possibility of suspending rates for businesses who've been affected by the coronavirus. And in sport, the EFL insists no decision's been made on what to do with the rest of the football season. The health minister is appealing to the public to bear with GPs as the online system for referring patients to get tested for coronavirus has crashed. Doctors' surgeries say their phone lines are jammed with calls, meaning many can't get through. GPs can now order a test for someone with symptoms online, but so many are using it, the system can't cope. Minister Simon Harris says only people with symptoms should be contacting doctors for tests.
But it is a massive body of work. We're asking our GPs, our healthcare professionals and the HSE to deliver, and we need all of us to be responsible in relation to that. Keep your GP slots for people who really need them. Be patient with your GP who's under a lot of pressure when you phone them, and obviously a test is only required if you have symptoms, not because you'd like one.
County Waterford GP Austin Byrne describes the symptoms of coronavirus.
Respiratory symptoms, fever, dry cough and breathlessness are the commonest of the symptoms, and about 2/3 of patients or people who do develop the virus will initially present with a dry cough. In the majority of cases, this is a mild to moderate self-limiting illness, quite similar to the seasonal flu that people will be familiar with. The big message is if people do feel that they have been in contact or may have been exposed and you develop those symptoms, please contact the HSE helpline or contact your GP, and I'll give out the helpline number. It's 1850 24 1850. That will advise and guide accordingly as to what you do need to do.
The group lead for the South-Southwest Hospital Group for the coronavirus says University Hospital Waterford should be in a position to carry out lab tests for coronavirus this week. Up to now, the tests are being sent for analysis elsewhere, but Dr. Orla Healy says they expect UHW will be in a position to test themselves soon.
Originally, the tests were sent to the National Virus Reference Laboratory. In the South-Southwest Group, we've developed our own laboratory facilities in Cork University Hospital. We're also developing services, these laboratory testing facilities in other hospitals, including University Hospital Waterford.
Ireland's into its first full week of major restrictions as the country struggles to delay the spread of COVID-19. Schools, creches, bars and pubs are all closed until the end of the month. Meanwhile, the government's also warning about fake news on messaging apps like WhatsApp. Adrian Harman reports.
Over the weekend, 79 new cases of coronavirus were confirmed in the Republic, the largest 48-hour increase so far. It brings the total number to 169 with 2 fatalities. Tónus Simon Coveney says he expects the number of deaths to increase with time.
We are going to reach a point in time when we are talking about fatalities on a daily basis in Ireland.
At the moment, venues like restaurants and cafes are open, but they're being encouraged to use social distancing and keep guests 2 metres apart. Pubs and bars are the latest to be asked to close, and Adrian Cummins from the Restaurants Association of Ireland feels it would be safer if they were also directed to do so.
It's important that the government show leadership and issue the order so that all businesses do the right thing in the best interest of stopping the spread of the coronavirus.
A government decision on restaurants' ability to manage social distancing is expected later. Meanwhile, the government's also called on people to only get information from official sources, not WhatsApp groups. Taoiseach Leo Varadkar says the sharing of unverified information is causing real damage and is urging the public to only get it from official sources like the HSE.
Pharmacists are on the front line in the fight against coronavirus, according to a Waterford pharmacist. Paul Kenny of Haven Pharmacy, Kenny's in Tramore, says pharmacists are at risk as people turn up looking for advice.
If you start exhibiting the symptoms of the coronavirus, the first place you're likely to call is a pharmacy. So, before pre-diagnosis, we are going to be exposed to the viruses here in pharmacy. So, we've got to take the measures required for prevention of the spread within the community, which will ultimately affect our business and our sales.
He outlined some of the measures pharmacies might have to implement to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
Part of the actions required for containment are going to be things like collecting prescriptions at the door of a pharmacy, having photos texted to you of the prescriptions, waiting in the car, this kind of thing, preventing the spread of the virus within pharmacies.
A Waterford councillor has called for the local authority to look into the possibility of suspending rates for businesses who've been affected by the coronavirus. Fianna Fáil's Adam Wise says he thinks it's only right that Waterford Council plays a role in assisting those affected. He now wants the Mayor and Council CEO to look at halting the collection of rates for those who've had to close their business.
So I've asked the Senior Finance Manager to look at what that would mean for the Council, because we still have to be responsible. We can't have a case where all these businesses stop paying their rates and we don't have a council that can do any of the jobs that a council does. My theory on this is if we don't hold collection now for say 2 to 3 months, that we will lose the rates from businesses that close permanently, and then it gives us an even wider hole to fill in next year's budget.
The Moorings restaurant and bar in Dungarvan closed their doors yesterday afternoon. Marie Quinn says they'd been social distancing for the past number of days. She says they've received a lot of support in the area.
The community spirit has been just amazing. Like, since we put up our post to say we were going to close down for, till further notice, the comments and the support from everybody has just been amazing. I think when we all recover from this, everybody will help each other out and everybody will support each other. We're all already making plans as to how we're going to support the businesses in the area. I know that loads of people have contacted us and said, the minute you're back open, we're coming in,
The postmaster in Dungarvan says he'll do everything he can to help the vulnerable and older people in the local community. Joe Reardon says pensioners tend to use the post office a lot.
We're bearing cognizance of the people who are on their own, who are vulnerable. So there's a local COVID Dungarvan resources group. As part of that, I've decided to put a notice up in the post office that any pensioner or anybody on their own can give me a ring. I'm quite willing to go out and get stuff for them, run errands for them. We have a couple of other people involved. Thomas Phelan has also agreed to come on board. We'll have a few at the end, and the best thing to do is to do what we can, do absolutely everything we can to help the vulnerable people in society.
9-year-old Patrick's in 3rd class. He's not too sure about the extra time off school.
I'm really happy, but at the same time I'm kind of sad because I'm going to miss my friends because the stupid coronavirus. And it's annoying. People are cancelling flights and people are cancelling going on holidays and that kind of stuff.
WLR Sport.
With Virgin Media Waterford. Virgin Mobile on a 30-day contract. Nothing hidden.
English Football League Chairman Rick Parry says he won't speculate on whether the season will be finished, instead calling for cool heads and calm reflection. The Championship, League One and League Two are some of the competitions postponed until the 3rd of April because of coronavirus. Former Leeds chairman and current Preston advisor Peter Ridsdale tells Sky Sports News the EFL needs to take the lead on what's happening going forward.
I think it's important they take a stance before the Premier League come out and try and determine what they want to do. The Championship clubs have been trying to get promoted into the Premier League. The riches of the Premier League are in stark contrast to those in the Football League. We think it's very important that the season is completed at some point in time in the future.
Republic of Ireland defender Enda Stevens says he and his Sheffield United teammates are continuing to train as normal despite the suspension of the Premier League. While the Blades won't have a competitive game until at least early April, they're one of a number of teams who are yet to suspend activity. The Sheffield United left back says the coronavirus outbreak has enforced changes, but they want to be prepared if and when the league does return.
I think the academy and all that have been sent home, and it's literally just first team lads, players and staff that are allowed in the building. So I think we're going to try to treat it as normal as we can for the week with training and that. Over the weekend you kind of see the news breaking of more and more cases and that. We still have to kind of plan for that, the league kicking back in April. If it does, we want to be prepared, and if it doesn't, we really don't know what to be thinking.
Horse racing in Britain is to run behind closed doors until at least the end of March due to the COVID-19 outbreak. The sports leaders are meeting to discuss the decision today, with the decision to go ahead with the Cheltenham Festival heavily criticised in many quarters. A British Horse Racing Authority statement has said a decision on the staging of the Grand National on April 4th would be announced as soon as possible. Evergreen dual Irish Gold Cup winning trainer John Kiley from County Waterford is recovering from a broken leg suffered while riding out last week. The remarkable 82-year-old, who's held a licence for 45 years, fractured his femur while operating from his Dungarvan yard. Speaking to the Racing Post, he said it was just a normal day, but unfortunately he broke his femur on Monday morning. He says he wasn't home yet, but was recovering well. And the man who saddled Carlingford Lough to land the 2013 Galway Plate said he enjoyed watching the Cheltenham Festival and what turned out to be a fantastic week for the Irish runners. And sports news on WLR is thanks to Virgin Media Waterford.